CEPT University focuses on understanding, designing, planning, constructing and managing human habitats. Established since 1962, it is one of India's leading institutes in this sector. What is different about the education at CEPT? Well, it's world-class campus and infrastructure.
What was it that led me to this design? Well, part of it, of course, is always the design brief, what the client wants. Then there's something called the context. This building's going to sit on a corner. There's a sinkhole there kind of with water in it in the monsoon. We've got to look at available technologies. And then there's the lifestyle of all you youngsters. Now, it's not that you come to class here and you go in and listen to just lectures. It's not just teaching, but it's also learning. And learning takes place inside, outside. It takes place in the in-between spaces. So the campus life, I put comma rom, because even people sleep on their desks in this university. It's a very strange university. And so I thought the lifestyle here is important. And then where they overlap, I looked at the context. It's next to one of Doshi's buildings. It has a link to the plaza. It has a link to the entrance to the university. So there's something called movement, pause, and hinges. There's some sort of urban design, environmental things happening. You're welcome to turn off your cell phone. Whose cell phone was that? You get killed in my office if you have cell phones, no? Okay. Then there's an overlap between the context and the technology. That has a lot to do with sustainability. And then between the client's brief and technology has to do with systems performance. And then I look at all these things. How does the envelope of the building come in? How does the structure come in? How does the MEP come in? Etc. And how do the spaces and volumes? Now, Arnold Shaw is working with me on the structure. I don't know if he could make it today. I asked him to come. I hope he's here. And these are the kind of things, starting with big things like the design brief and the campus lifestyle, the physical context, technology, comes down into the design. And Abimel has already showed you a plan of the campus, and he's told you that this is going to come here. I call it academic hub. The other red thing is not on the cards right now, but it could become a research center later. And we have something that I have to take note of. This, I marked it green, is our lawn. This lawn is probably more famous than the School of Architecture. More things happen here 7 by 24 than any place else on campus. No? So I realized that if I want to make headlines in Gujarat, I can bulldoze the green space. Right? But I think I would be killed if I did that. So I love the green space. When I came here, even there were a couple of our classmates who used to pitch tents and sleep on top of the grass. No? And it's a lovely thing, and it's something that I have to address too. Another thing is, back in the back corner, there's a jungle, and many people may not even know what happens in that jungle, but during the monsoon, it becomes a big pool of water. So I thought, can we exploit that water? Maybe we can make some kind of a coon there, or some kind of a pool. Maybe we can line it in some ways to save water. And we should actually do something called a campus water management plan. Actually, if you see the total volume of the water stored there, I haven't calculated it, but it looks like a lot because it floods. But if you see this whole catchment area of the campus, everything drains into that one hole. I think we could develop a campus water management plan where we had cisterns and gullies running horizontally to take water to cisterns and save it for the rest of the year, for the dry season. So this blue water thing is important. And then there will be, I don't think it shows here, yeah, it shows. There will be roads around two sides, and there's a proposed road to run perhaps in between Ahmedabad University and ours. It may be built, it may not. It's something that we've talked about. And then you have the iconic academic buildings that Doshi designed. And this is something which I'm very sensitive about. Doshi is a great guru. He's been a friend of mine for decades, so I want to give due respect to that. And the new plaza. Now, the plaza was a dust bowl for decades, and I think it's slowly becoming, I don't want to overblow it, but I'll just call it the Piazza San Marco. Okay, it's not the Piazza San Marco, but it's important, and it's where you'll do dances, you'll do national and international programs, you'll have your convocations, and it's a wonderful new iconic feature. And another new iconic feature is the library. I just walked over there today before coming in, and I think it's a very exciting building. Wonderful spaces, intriguing little details, and it's a great addition to the campus. So we have, the lawn, we have the School of Architecture, we have the plaza, we have an iconic library, and our building somehow has to relate to this. So there's kind of a hinge taking place at the corner where Bimala's suggested I build this building. People come from the road and they enter. They come from the plaza, they'll come from the new canteen. They'll cross through when we do this research area. And this becomes kind of a hinge that connects a big part of the campus together. A huge number of students will be studying in this area. So I looked at it like this, that there would be in front of the School of Architecture something I'm calling the campus promenade. You'll see it later in the plans that connect all these other connectors together. And I would love, we have a connection from the entrance on University Road right up to this building. I would like to see more people walking under the School of Architecture. And of course, there's a link past the canteen to the new academic hub. So these are all things which affected my work on the design. I hope I'm not pressing it too fast and missing anything. Well, one of the important things to note is that the road is going to be widened. We're going to lose land. And then the new setback is going to be from that 4.5 meter road widening. So altogether, we're going to lose about 10.5 meters. That's a lot, so I had to work in that setback. And then I had a kind of a footprint that I could do. I couldn't go into the lawn, I couldn't go into the water. And look at that. There are 3 trees on this thing. I was going to rag Arthur, and Arthur's chairman of a committee. I was going to tell everybody that Arthur told me just cut down the trees. But Arthur didn't say that. He said, you can't cut them down. You have to do something. So he and I have been talking to tree surgeons, tree doctors. How do you save these now? And then we thought, one day Bill and I walked out there with Arthur and Ram and a group, and we said, your building, which is a rectangle, actually has kind of 3 parts, and maybe you have to slide them apart. Maybe you have to slide them to save these trees. So if you look at this, the building actually takes a shape where it slides apart. And I don't think this particular thing is working because we made some sexy thing where the building actually moves in front of you and slides to save these trees. And even we made a little niche here around the bottom tree, number 2, to try to save that a little bit more. Where is that? That little niche. So we're making an effort to save these trees. They're kind of iconic, and they can be, with tree doctors, they can be made better. But we'll even have to do a kind of auto around the 3rd tree. It's a very big old tree. And we'll try to have to save them. So the context, the location between the lawn and between this water body, having the University Avenue and the University Road running by it, being at a corner, which could become something I'm calling a hinge, the campus pinwheels around. These were all contextual things which affected my thinking. And then we have a site plan with the ground floor of the School of Architecture, the canteen, which was just an idea when I started designing. And I thought, in the site plan, and we discussed this in our committee here, let's put the auditorium on the ground floor. Why? People might come there at night. They don't want to walk all the way up to the top floor. And so, we can use that large entrance space to the auditorium as a kind of a portal or an entry into this new academic hub. And we can keep toilets there. We'll have that round figure as a small elevator. and it can be kind of, again, the hinge. It will be a public space which is covered from the sun and also the monsoon, but it becomes kind of a hinge in this thing. Now, these are some major activities. See, we've thought of having a new sort of a tower for research in it, because all great universities do great research. So there's an exhibition space under that tower. There's a hangout meditation zone around the water. There's a gathering space in the auditorium. There's a relax and talk space on the grass. And then there's these move and walk spaces, the entrance and the move out to the main plaza. And then I would like to see a promenade in front of the School of Architecture, where you're moving into this new building, and you can also look under the School of Architecture up into the plaza. So we started developing floor plans around this idea. And this was the first ground floor plan. You might notice that the lawn is higher, so it actually goes up onto a wall on the side of the auditorium, and on the west side, the auditorium actually has a glass wall out into kind of a little amphitheater kind of steps. We will have to build a concrete waterproof wall. We would be very embarrassed after finishing this building, and we would bring the board of management there, and it would be full of water. So we don't like to do buildings that get full of water. Pune, we learned how to do buildings underground with water because we have rivers every place. And we've done a lot of work with waterproofing, underground parking, India House Art Gallery, and other places where the water table is much higher than the basement. So this is a rough idea of the ground floor. It's got a large auditorium. It has something like this platform on one side, on this side over here. And then on the other side, we could even slide doors open into the outside. So you can even sit outside. Let me see if I can find this. That's the underground part, just to show that it does go below ground slightly, about 4 meters actually. Then this is the ground level, and on the right is the earth mound, and then the first floor. Now the first floor, it has a bridge connecting to the canteen at the bottom that goes by that tree called 02. There's a bridge that goes straight from the canteen up just a few stairs, and then crosses over onto the first floor of the academic building, where you have 2 large classrooms, 3 regular kind of classrooms, and 3 seminar halls, some toilets. And then the next level, you go upstairs and you have the same thing plus. You have 2 more classrooms and 2 more seminar rooms. There's an elevator that takes you up there. And then on the top floor, you have photovoltaic cells, and you have vents to let air come through these. I'll go back. You can see in the circulation area, there are cutouts so that air can come in through the classrooms, come out into the corridor, which is sort of a meeting place as well as a movement place, and then it can go up vertically into the ceiling, out the roof. Can you see that? Okay, it's a little funny. I don't know why it doesn't fit on the thing. But this is an exploded isometric of the ground floor. As you can see, there's an auditorium, a coon, an open exhibition area, a service floor for toilets, and the lawn. And then the next floor, we have large classrooms, regular classrooms, and 4 seminar rooms. And then you get the top floor with 2 more classrooms, 6 classrooms, and 6 seminar rooms, and 2 large halls. And then you get the roof structure. So you get the whole thing where you can see it in isometric. So basically that gives you an idea of what the relationships are between the floors and between the site. One of the things you may notice, there are panels on the outside of the building, which are actually sliding panels of louvers. So you can close the whole panels when it's really hot and the sun doesn't touch the glass which is inside of that. Or you can slide them open if you want fresh air to come through and if you want better view. We found at India House that having louvers or having a jolly doesn't cut the vision at all. You can still see out very nicely, but it's good to stop the sun coming in. It's good to create a pocket between the glass and the outside to cool off the building. It's just good as an environmental thing. Now, the next building to me is a building which I love. It's Doshi's School of Architecture. So in looking at the heights, we tried to mimic or keep our heights the same. So our building has the same scale. When you're in the lawn and you look at the School of Architecture, the heights of this building are the same, and possibly the structural system will have some sort of a link to that. So we're trying to mirror or be part of the School of Architecture. It's a very important, I would say, international modern heritage site. When I think of heritage, I'm happy to see Professor Basada sitting here, who almost single-handedly made this city into a heritage city. But you know, they say that all successes have many fathers, and failures are orphanages, no? So for years it was an orphan, and then suddenly Waseda is famous, and everybody's doing YouTube shots of themselves making this into a heritage city. Okay, this gives you an idea. Is it showing? It's supposed to be cute. Okay, this is the sun. This is what the guys in my office do when I went to Delhi over the weekend to give a lecture, and I come back and see this kind of stuff. Well, it's kind of nice. It shows that ambient light comes in through the jalis, and the heavy sunlight is reflected off, hopefully a lot of the heat also. And also, this same jali, another cute one, lets the hot air go out through this passageway and lets the regular air come through. So it's a pretty simple building. It's ground plus 2. It's got photovoltaic cells on the roof. It's got an envelope around it, which sort of keeps the sun out, and also it slides back and forth. So it's kind of interactive with the time of year, the seasons. It's kind of a fun thing, and very simple elevations. In a way, I feel it's a little different than a lot of my architecture. There's nothing iconic in this building. It's what I would call anonymous architecture. My idea is that Doshi's building is the iconic building. My building is kind of a backdrop. So when you're walking down the promenade, the big iconic building from 1960s is there. And this building becomes kind of a very pleasant, kind of a anonymous backdrop with a nice entrance, a kind of a exciting entrance. It links with the lawn. Now, what I forgot to tell you is, on the first floor, 2 of the seminar rooms, actually their doors slide open and you can walk out onto the lawn. So if you see this model, you can see on the left there's a little platform that comes out by the lawn, and I'm going to extend the lawn further down to the building and link the 2 together, so that when you're on the first floor and you want to go out onto the mound directly, you can just walk through one of the 2 seminar rooms and you can walk out onto the lawn. Or you can walk down between the School of Architecture and the lawn in a kind of a promenade, which goes like that from the entrance. And then you have a kind of welcoming, open 2-story portico. And like, pretty simple. I'll show you some better images. This is a model. This gives a rough idea of the components. It just shows that there's a movable jali screen, and that there's a good glass behind it, and there's a terrace with photovoltaic cells, etc. It's a very simple system of an envelope, and then sliding glass doors behind that. And these are some green measures. My eyesight isn't good enough to read all of those, but I just want you to rest assured that we will try to make this a very sustainable piece of architecture. And I'm talking with our committee about getting on board a consultant to make this a great green building. Now, ambiance. What does it look like? What does it feel like? So this is I hope it came out okay. Yeah, it's a perspective of the lawn. As you can see the School of Architecture, and then you get these basically screens which slide back and forth. And then you come down from the entrance and you come to this promenade. So this will be kind of a new public domain. It's there now, but I want to make it more lively, and you'll have, I don't know, you could have more than 1,000 people in this building at one time. That's almost as many students as we have on campus today. So we need more open space, more interactive spaces. So this space in front of the School of Architecture would become more interactive. And then, of course, it moves under the School of Architecture into the plaza. So there are a lot of connectivity and porous features from an urban design viewpoint looking through. Now, you can walk upstairs to the first floor, and even you can walk across on the left. You can see the bridge coming from the canteen, which is here. I don't like the handrail, incidentally. The architect who did this handrail is really bad. We need a better handrail. But anyway, that will happen. There will be concrete pillars holding up the structure, and then these louvers you can see, and it's rather simple.
One of the core values of CEPT is its capacity from the very beginning to embrace change. A wonderful example of this capacity to embrace change is the development of our new workshop on the campus.
We believe in learning by making, and they experiment not only products, they also do their model making, they do their prototyping, and everything is all through learning by making. And for that, we felt that a central workshop is essential or is the core of the university. We're discussing with Professor Gurdev Singh, it was all the materials were taken into consideration, and it was decided or it was agreed upon why not to take wood as one of the products or on which the workshop could be created.
We were given a brief as architects that we need to create a space here which would be inspirational to the students, but add a whole lot of new materials and details so that we can expose the students to different ways of construction. And that is where the wood came in, because we also feel that wood is a very sustainable material. So the design of this building started primarily with the new road work which is coming around and the site which is given to us. But the light is a very important component, and getting light in reflected through the ceiling and direct is something which is required in a workshop here.
It was a unique design in the roof as well. In fact, these were arches and not straight, long components. So they were shaped, and there's some engineering involved, and there's some definitely some unique QC quality control involved in these products.
In the glue lamp, when we cut the timber to a particular shape and re-glue it together, each piece is trying to behave in a different way. As a group together, they behave the way you want them to behave.
But we realize that Structure Lamp is a very leading company and very renowned company in British Columbia that is very perfect choice for making glue lamp beams for their end applications. Then therefore we suggested and brought the Structure Lamp into the picture for the kind of end applications.
In addition, wood has been used as joinery, furniture, and in a variety of ways that are demonstrating the properties of how this form of timber can be used to the best advantage.
We would like our students to rethink materials. For example, in case of wood, they should be able to imagine and build both in interiors as well as exterior. We can find an innovative application of Canadian wood in Indian context. That would precisely mean that we could build prototypes with Canadian wood in various parts of India, in various climatic zones.
The new workshop was something which was called for quite some time, and it's been a pleasure having it around.
Generally, when we say a workshop, it's about a shed. It's more of a factory feeling, but this is an atmosphere, there's an ambience which they have given to the students, that it's a place to work and to make.
It's a privilege to be at CEPT, to be able to use such a vanguard structure which is not there for other colleges as per se.
The act of going in to read is one of reflection, and it's one when you connect with yourself in the artifact of the book. And I found in my research the best libraries were the ones which created the most interesting spaces, spaces that were calm, quiet. So the library building was a really challenging project for us, and the first reason was the fact that I was a student here, so I was building in the campus that I studied. The location of the library building was given to us, and in studying it and analyzing its position on the campus, we realized actually by default it was very pivotal. And so it becomes a building that you can just walk through. It's a shortcut. I think the thing that I am most satisfied about in the design of the library is I believe it has an amazingly wide and broad spectrum of spaces. The building is sort of visualized as three separate organized spaces nestled in each other. The outer one is the one that creates the threshold and is a skin. The next layer creates luminous sort of spaces through large expanses of glass. The central core of the library is the book stacks. On the upper levels, there are two floors. One is at +4 meters and the other at +8 meters. This is a level where you engage with the environment around you, which is very beautiful. And as you move to the next level, which is the +8 meter level, the room actually retracts and there is a veranda space that surrounds it. And so this allows students to work in small groups, but at a scale which is like their own bedroom or their own study at home. at the -4 meter level, what we decided was to create carrels, which are these large boxes that kind of negotiate both the inside and the outside. By the time you go down 8 meters, the space is very silent. There are 3 portals under which are large tables. The services and the structural elements of the building are all integrated in the book core. Again, the idea was to create a sense of ambiguity, of confusion, because you realize you're -8 meters and you're surprised that the structure is not so visible. Ahmedabad has a very hot, dry climate, but it also has a monsoon which can be rather furious. And like the human skin, we felt that if we actually made an independent skin which could respond to these different climatic conditions. And so the louvers really came out of that aspiration. So it's a way of demonstrating to students that ordinary materials need not trap you into limited solutions. The materials can be instrumentalized through the intelligence of design. That's what designers have to do. Besides performing for a library, it should be a building that students can be inspired and learn from. Just in things they observe, surprises, light changing through an aperture, air modulating depending on how you adjust the louvers, that they can make the correlation between what makes architecture but also the way it performs.